Okay, so here we are. Last time we made our way up to Shemini Atzeret, which is in Roman numeral 3, letter C, number 5. So now we have Hanukkah. I think we've all been together for Hanukkah this past winter. Hanukkah, I'm trying to like avoid saying the really obvious things that you probably know already, unless you have questions about about Hanukkah. But I'll just say it's it's a rabbinic holiday. It's not in the Torah. Not only is it not in the Torah, it's also not in Scripture. Like Purim, at least, is um, made its way into Tanakh. The Book of Esther is part of Ketuvim. It's part of Tanakh. It's part of Scripture. Hanukkah has no mention in the written Torah. Um, there is a book of Maccabees that was at least the first book of Maccabees. Historians think was written in Hebrew, but it was not preserved in Hebrew. It was not preserved. It's not canonized as part of our Tanakh. The Catholics included it in the Catholic Bible. The Protestants took it out. It's sort of interesting to sort of contemplate why it's not in Tanakh. Like what is the um, what's what did the codifiers, the people who made those decisions, what did they see in the Book of Maccabees and decide this? Or maybe they never heard of it. I don't know. Maybe it's possible also, but somebody preserved it, right? It's kept, for a long time until it made its way into the Christian Bible. So somebody must have been copying it and keeping it and preserving it initially in Hebrew, eventually in Greek, and then whatever. But yeah, and yet it wasn't. It wasn't. It could be that there was the Maccabees after they purified the temple. They established themselves as kings, and within a generation or two, they were fairly corrupt and were persecuting the Pharisees, and just were sort of and so left the whole experience left a rather sour taste in the mouth. And so perhaps for that reason, after the temple's destroyed and the whole project came crashing down, maybe the holiday was kind of so this is not a story that needs to be included in Tanakh. On the other hand, we celebrate the holiday, so we do include it. We do codify it, right? But the holiday that gets celebrated is a little bit different from the Book of Maccabees. Just sort of to note, like the various ancient Hanukkahs that we have. We have Hanukkah in liturgy, which is the Al Hanisim prayer. It's a paragraph added to the Amidah, and it's a Shachar Nechamarev. It's a paragraph added to Birkat Hamazon, to the grace after meals, all days of Hanukkah for any meal you eat. And that's a pretty ancient mention of Hanukkah. Talks about the victory of the small, pious few over the strong, large, and wicked. Seems to be describing this improbable military victory. Um, and that the days were then established as days of thanksgiving and praise. That's Anisim. We have, and then there's Book of Maccabees, not preserved by Jews, okay, which also describes this victory and celebration of the Maccabees defeating their Greek enemies and purifying the temple. Um, the Talmud codifies a story of the miracle of the oil, which is not found in any of the earlier Hanukkah sources. And this is maybe the Hanukkah of the rabbis that kind of becomes the Hanukkah that we celebrate in our, became incorporated into our Jewish life. Um, the because the miracle of oil is what we commemorate in the mitzvah of the day. The mitzvah of the day, there are really two ways that we celebrate. One is we celebrate Hanukkah in synagogue by reciting Hallel all mornings of Hanukkah, all 8 days. We talked about Hallel, right? We talked about Hallel recently. It's a liturgical addition to
but I cannot.
it's a series of psalms of praise that we recite in the morning after Shachrit on holidays. Most holidays, some holidays, okay? So Hanukkah we recite Hallel all 8. Hmm? Okay,
Yeah.
great.
There in my head. I just can't.
Good. Fine, fine, fine. I'm sorry? Oh, Hanukkah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Um, Yes. No, no, I know we celebrate Hanukkah. That I know. And that was not the question. I know that question too. I know we said Hallel on Hanukkah because I was here, and it's we say it every year, all 8 days. That's not a question. The question is, did we in our class discuss what Hallel is? Uh,
That.
okay, Hallel is a series of psalms of praise and celebration that are recited in the morning after Shachrit, all the days of Hanukkah and all the days of Sukkot and the first days of Passover. Okay. We also say a truncated version of Hallel on the latter days of Passover on Rosh Chodesh, the first of the month. And I think when we talked about Rosh Chodesh, we talked about Hallel also. Maybe. Any event,
Maybe.
that's the public communal celebration of Hanukkah. Is you come to shul in the morning and we add Hallel to our prayers, and the private home celebration of Hanukkah is lighting Hanukkah lights. One night on the first night, two nights lights on the second night, three lights on the third night, until 8 nights, 8 lights on the eighth night of Hanukkah. That's an mitzvah that should be done in your home. There are all sorts of complicated rules if you're traveling, if you're a guest, and how can you light? And you at home, you light with them, you light when you get back home. But later at night, what do you do if you're okay? But point being, kind of nice not to have to be a guest on Hanukkah. Like it's a home mitzvah that you observe the mitzvah in your own home, and whereas then Hallel in the morning. Okay. Any questions on Hanukkah? It's just, we're going kind of fast, but I feel you. Okay. Seventh is Tu B'Shvat, which I have on the sheets as the tax day. It's like the beginning of the fiscal year, but it's not exactly. Tu B'Shvat is called the New Year for trees, which is means it's the new year for things having to do with like tree mitzvah, like the various tree tithes and the dating of fruit. Like the first 3 years, you can't eat. That may not be. Think which year the first fruits are. You need a date when there's no fruit on the tree, so you can determine. It's like midnight, right? Midnight is really helpful. Why is midnight the start of the civil day? Because in theory, like nothing's happening then. So it's very easy to say Monday ends, Tuesday begins at midnight because it's sort of like a neutral time in between everything. So Tu B'Shvat is the middle of the winter, and so any fruit that grows afterwards, it's clearly the product of the next year. And so for various mitzvot in which we are tithing and taking first fruits and we're giving them and whatever, so you need to know is it this year or last year? So Tu B'Shvat is when that occurs. Over time, it developed mystical significance and became associated with the land of Israel, and it became a day to celebrate the produce and the fruit of the land of Israel and various communities in the 1600s, 1700s, developed practice of having mystical meals, eating fruit and drinking wine, and connecting to the land of Israel. And that practice in modern times became associated with planting trees and reforestation in the land of Israel. And so that's sort of like the modern celebration of Tu B'Shvat, but it was not a day that people celebrated until recently. It was just like this day that was necessary in the calendar for being aware of like how to do these mitzvot that pertain to trees. Um, Next, Purim. Purim we just had, right? You guys celebrated Purim. Can we remember the four mitzvot of Purim? Can we like name them together?
The Megillah.
So what's the Megillah? Can be a little more precise, please? Say better. Okay.
Well, the evening of and then the morning of.
Good. So the mitzvah is to read or listen to the Megillah, every word read in order from a kosher scroll. Okay, in the evening of Purim or the daytime of Purim, Jewish men and women are obligated to hear the Megillah read or to read it themselves from a kosher scroll. Very nice. Good. Next, Mishloach Manot, which is what?
That's the giving of gifts.
Gifts of
Baked goods.
doesn't have to be baked goods. This gifts of food. Okay, two food items to one person. Okay, so that's the minimum. So you can give a Oreo cookie and a can of soda to your friend. That is mishloach manot. Or you can give an Oreo cookie and a can of soda to 20 friends. Or you can give a three-course meal to three friends. Right, whatever. But that is mishloach manot. Two different items, two manot, two courses, two items to at least one person. There is a urban legend that um, the two food items have to be items of which you say two different brachot, but that is an urban legend. It's not true. So I'm just telling you that because someone may tell you that, and it's ignorant. Or it's not ignorant, it's just a common misconception. Okay? So, all right. file that away if you want to be smug. Someone saying, no, they have to be different brachot. They don't. Okay, you're right. You're looking confused. Everything all right?
Like we have a mitzvot, like money for like to
What the other mitzvah? Wait, hold on one sec. We haven't finished Mishnah. When do you fulfill the mitzvah of Mishlach Manot?
it has to be during the day.
Very good. Excellent. On the day, not night, not so Megillah is night and day. Mishlach Manot is during the day. Next. What's next? Next one?
The giving of charity. I don't know what the word is either.
Matanot le'evyonim, gifts to the poor. Okay, at least two poor people should be given on Purim day. If you have trouble finding poor people on Purim day, you can give to an organization. Like there are many charities will arrange to distribute money on Purim Day to poor Jews in need, based on how much they collect on Purim Day. And so we were able to work with the Yad Yehuda here, and we collected cash. I called them. I said we have $600 in cash, and they gave it out that day, right? And many synagogues, collect money and give it out to people in the community who are in need, and that's the sort of how things tend to operate. It's very nice. Matanot le'evyonim, gifts to the poor. How much gifts should they be?
And variables of 18.
That's like a common custom. There's no need for it to be girls of 18. There really is no, essential minimum, but the purpose is to enable the poor to celebrate Purim too. So maybe give enough for them to like get, have a meal. That's like a good estimate. Another way to think about it is that your matzot evinim should be equal to or greater than all the rest of your Purim expenditures combined. Okay, so what do you spend? So your meal and you have a costume and your mashlach manot and your right, like whatever, all the rest of your. Hello, Alicia, how are you? Oop,
Sorry, I'm late.
not at all. Oh, I just kind of panicked that maybe I started early, but I'm glad you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome to join us. It's great. I'm gonna share the this panic that I had started early, but that would have been even more awkward if I had to repeat myself. Okay. But you can watch the video if you're interested at some point. So here's the okay. We are now in on the chart. We're now Roman numeral 3, letter C. We just are finishing up our just review of Purim, which is pretty easy because we just did it. And the last mitzvah, the fourth mitzvah day, is what? There are four M's, okay? Megillah, Matzot Levinim, Mishlach Manot, and the meal. You have to eat a meal. Oh, come on, okay, okay. What?
I think it was like
Meal starts with M's. Okay. Meal means a sudah, means it has bread. You wash and have motzi and have bread, and has to be before sunset. So if you're busy and you're working, maybe you grab a bagel. After you hear the Megillah in the morning, you go to a 6 a.m. Shachrit and hear the Megillah, and you have your bagel at 7:30, and then you're done with your mitzvah for the day. You give some charity on that. Okay.
I did do that.
Okay, there you are. Or if you're able to take off from work a little bit, so you go to a 7 or 8 o'clock Shachrit and hear the Megillah then, and you spend the day giving Mishlach Manot and Matzot Evinim, and then at the end of the day, you gather and have a festive meal with your friends and family, or come to shul for a festive meal, and okay. As the day ends. One other detail of Matzot Evinim, the gifts to the poor, there's also a custom on Purim to give something, at least to anybody who asks you for money. The rest of the year, maybe we're a little bit careful about who we give to, and I don't know, and are they legit or yes, no. On Purim, we give to anyone who asks. And so some people will just like keep cash in their pockets just so like whoever they encounter. And, many shuls have lots of beggars coming in, many Jewish neighborhoods have lots of beggars knocking on doors, but sadly, we don't have so many beggars in our neighborhood, but it's
No, I see what you're saying.
we're not known as a Jewish neighborhood such that beggars will come on Purim to knock on our doors and ask for money. In Jewish neighborhoods, it's ubiquitous. Weddings, beggars come to weddings in Jewish neighborhoods. Yeah. It's, not we don't have that here. It's like we're a little more bougie. Okay, people don't. But that's I think the part. There's a mitzvah to give. They have no mitzvah to accept from us. We have a mitzvah to give to them. So really, we should be We need them more than they need us from a certain perspective. Okay. This Rabbi Yisrael Salanter wondered about this. Why is it that the beggars are chasing after people with money to ask for money? It should be the other way around because people with money have an obligation to give and the beggars have no obligation to take. So really those with money should be chasing after the beggars to get them to take money from us. Okay. That is and Rabbi Yisrael Salanter posed that as a question that he had no answer for. Okay. That was a long time ago. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Outstanding questions from Purim? Okay. I have here Purim Katan. Purim Katan, the little Purim, is like the echo of Purim or the preview of Purim on a year when there are two Adars. Remember last week we spoke about the leap year when you add a month of Adar. So when you add a month of Adar, you sort of raises the question of which Adar do we celebrate Purim in? And you I think we should celebrate Purim in the first Adar because it's why well let's hurry and celebrate the holiday sooner. We have a mitzvah opportunity. Let's seize the opportunity to do a mitzvah or four mitzvot and celebrate Purim in the first Adar. But no, we want to link Purim to Pesach. Purim is like the little redemption. Pesach is the great redemption. Let's link Purim and Passover. And so we push off Purim to the second Adar. So Purim Katan is the 14th of Adar, the first Adar, Adar 1, Adar Rishon, in a year when we celebrate Purim in the second Adar, in Adar Sheni, Adar 2. And so we don't observe it in any way. We just skip Tachanun. Okay, Tachanun is that right after the Amidah, the prayer, the standing prayer and standing devotion, we fall on our heads, on our arms, our heads on our arms, and recite supplication prayers, different kind of spiritual choreography. And we omit it on certain festive days. So Tachanun is omitted on one of the days we omit Purim Katan. It's like an echo of Purim in this leap year. So next, Passover, Pesach. Okay, this is coming. So there's a lot to say. We could speak for hours about Pesach. Did you observe Passover last year? Were you?
Parts of it.
Okay.
I was on my own though.
Okay.
So not really.
Not really. You were at our house for Passover last year. Vera, were you? Yeah. Okay. Hopefully you'll feel great. Hopefully you'll feel better. No, no. Oh, that's sad. That's sad. Okay.
Still recovery.
I'm sorry. It's actually there's a flu going. It's going around. It's like definitely a lot of people have it. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's talk about Pesach. So the Pesach has a number of special mitzvot, positive mitzvot and prohibitions. Again, this is like there. We're really doing. We literally could spend hours, but we're going to try to be a little bit brief just to kind of do some. But lots of additional reading, lots of great books on like Yitzhak Greenberg's The Jewish Way has a wonderful chapter. But Melamed has a great book on the laws of Passover in terms of just like how to observe them. But okay. So there are prohibitions on Passover are twofold: a prohibition against eating chametz and a prohibition against owning chametz. For our purposes, we'll say chametz is any product containing grain. We assume may be chametz. So it's really leavened grain is chametz, but we're worried that any grain that has not been made into matzah may have become chametz, even if we can't observe that having occurred. So the only grain products we eat are matzah or matzah derivatives. Any other grain, the grain, wheat, oat, wheat, spelt, rye, okay, are the main ones. Oats, perhaps, probably we assume as well. All of these things are chametz. We can't eat them. Okay. In addition, we're also worried about the vessels, the pots, pans, plates that were used for cooking hot chametz, and we're concerned about food mixtures like processed foods or other mixtures that may contain chametz ingredients or even chametz derivatives. So we're incredibly strict. We generally eat special foods on Passover, either with special Passover certification, certified kosher for Passover, not just kosher, or other very simple products we can get. If we buy them before Passover, we assume that any trace quantities of chametz is nullified and batel and we don't have to worry about it. So I don't know, things like certain maybe canned vegetables with one ingredient or orange juice or something like that, like the milk, things that have no chametz ingredients. It'd be very strange to think that they would have chametz ingredients, but we buy it before Passover without kosher for Passover certification, and we see any trace chametz is nullified. If we buy it on Passover, we're a little more strict. We get things with Passover certification. In addition to the prohibition against eating chametz on Passover, also a prohibition against owning chametz on Passover. And so not only do we eat it, we get it out of our house. So here it's really only real chametz. I think things like I don't know, like yeah, but like right, sure, obviously, but like I'm saying, bread, pasta, okay, but things like you have canned beans or whatever, or which are just not chametz. I don't think you have to like get it out of your house. There's no, but even if you're like, for you might not eat it, but you don't have to get it out of your house, okay? Or I don't know what other thing would be like in that certain types of I don't know, ketchup or something. I don't know, like it might have it doesn't contain a chametz ingredient. If that's true. But we're not going to eat it because it may have trace, or we don't know. It's not certified. We're not sure. It doesn't have to. But we remove from our house is real chametz. Okay, and so throw it out, give it away, get rid of it. In modern times, it's become very common to sell. If we have like large quantities of chametz, it'd be wasteful or it would be suffer a big loss if we were to destroy it, eliminate it, don't know when to take it, so we sell it to a Gentile. This should be done through the synagogue with a rabbi or someone trained in how to do this. It's not so simple in Jewish law how to sell chametz, because in Jewish law there are different mechanisms, modes of conveyance, ways in which items are sold from person to person. It's not quite the same as in American law, and so it should be done through the synagogue. You can appoint me to be your the power of attorney form that the shul is already distributing. Fill out the form, list what chametz is. I'm selling liquor in my dining room closet. I'm selling pasta and other sacks of flour that are in my pantry. Just like list what it is and where it is. Fill out the form, sign it, and then I will have a stack of those forms that I will present to the Gentile who buys our chametz, and we'll do a whole bunch. You can watch if you want to see me. When we do it. We did it on Zoom here. I do not remember that. Really? Okay. Awesome. I have no recollection. I don't remember that. Cool. Okay.
They put you on Zoom without
maybe, yeah. Okay. So Monday night before Passover, we're gonna do it. Yeah, okay. That's okay. That's the owning chametz, and we get rid of it. We don't eat chametz. We don't own chametz. We sell chametz. We also nullify chametz. We declare chametz in our possession to be nullified and ownerless and doesn't count. And from a Torah level, that's sufficient actually to avoid the prohibition against owning chametz. But the rabbis were worried. Okay, what if you nullify it and then the next day you come across a little Entenmann's donut, and you might be tempted to eat it. So it's not enough to nullify it. You also have to get it out of your house. So we have a lot of redundancy built in. And then we symbolically destroy some chametz too. So we sell, we eat, consume, get rid of, nullify, and then destroy some of the chametz. Generally, we burn it. We have a bonfire in the synagogue the morning before Passover starts. And we also search for it. We the night before Passover starts, we search our homes by candlelight, looking every nook and cranny, crevice to try to make sure there isn't chametz we've forgotten about, so that can be eliminated as well. So lots of redundancy because it's a really serious prohibition we want to avoid violating. That's a negative prohibition. The first day of Passover, the last day of Passover, also Yom Tov. It's a day where you can't do any work, just like Shabbat, etc. In the diaspora, it's the first 2 days of Passover, and the 7th and 8th day of Passover are these holidays where we can't do any work. Okay, so just like Sukkot and Shabbat and all these other holidays. Those are the prohibitions of Passover. The positive mitzvah of Passover are twofold. We have a mitzvah to eat matzah on the first night of Passover, in the diaspora, the first 2 nights of Passover. And we have a mitzvah to tell the story of the exodus from Egypt on the first night of Passover or the first 2 nights of Passover. This has evolved into the Seder, which is this symbolic meal on the first night, the first 2 nights in the diaspora of Passover, where we fulfill the mitzvah of eating the matzah. That's a biblical mitzvah. The rabbinic mitzvah of eating maror, bitter herbs. The rabbinic mitzvah of drinking 4 cups of wine. And the biblical mitzvah of telling the story of the Exodus. When we tell the story of Exodus on the Seder, we don't just read the first 12 chapters of the book of Exodus. We tell the story through midrash, through rabbinic scholarship and explication. We take 4 verses in Deuteronomy and we expound them and question them and and derive additional details of the story from those verses through the question and answer. Like we turn the table into a Beit Midrash, and we engage in an endeavor of Talmud Torah of intergenerational Torah study, and that's how the story is told at the Seder. Through and in addition, symbolic eating, which is so the Beit Midrash is definitely one model that the Seder is built upon. The other model the Seder is built on is a Greco-Roman symposium, which were these meals in which people would recline and eat symbolic foods and talk about questions of philosophy. And so the Seder also that's also the other parent of the Seder is the Greco-Roman symposium as a model. But it's really different from both of them. Okay, it's a merger of both of those. You're coming to us, right?
Yes.
You're coming to us. Are you also coming? Oh, I thought I told you. Okay. I think I appreciate that. I think I have you on day one, if that's okay. Good.
As I say, we said definitely day one.
You're coming day one.
Day two.
You're coming to. We have some other hosts who are in the community. I will reach out. You can come. So what time? You can, yeah, come to shul and we'll come to shul for tefillot, and then we'll walk home together. The Seder, it's a nighttime, the mitzvot of the Seder are nighttime mitzvot. Eating the matzah, the 4 cups of wine have to be after. So even though we can start and we'll begin this week, you can accept Shabbat early. You can accept Yom Tov early. Like we start Shabbat in our shul no later than 6:30. So even though sunset is after 6:30 now, and will be until, I don't know, November, October, we are going to start Shabbat no later than 6:30, and you can do that. You can say it's Shabbat for me now, and then it's Shabbat for you now. And you could say it's Passover for me now, and then it's Passover for you now. But you can't do the mitzvot of the Seder night until it's dark. And so we won't start eating until, I don't know, 8, 8:30, whatever it is. I don't know. It's Passover is relatively early this year, so it's not terribly late, but whatever time we said.
You also
Yeah.
go like a back.
Cool. In the synagogue, Passover, we say Hallel, we say we tefillah, read Torah, just like Shabbat or Yom Tov. But we only say Hallel on the first day of full Hallel is only said on the first day of Passover, or in the diaspora the first 2 days of Passover. The rest of the days of Passover, we say truncated Hallel, like on Rosh Chodesh, and that's because our joy is somewhat diminished by the suffering Egyptians. Perhaps that's one opinion in the Talmud, and so we turn down our joy one notch, and we don't say the full Hallel for all the days of Passover. Okay. Any other questions about Passover? It was a lot. It was sort of like a lot in no dumb questions. I mean, maybe, but you'll see. Try me. Try me. Yeah. Yes. Matzah that's not kosher. Yes. Anything made with grain that isn't kosher for Passover is chametz. So what is matzah that's not kosher for Passover? I don't know. So they make it in the same factories. They sell it during the year. They're probably not being. We assume that any flour in contact with water, if it isn't baked within 18 minutes, will turn into chametz. So when they make their matzah at the matzah factory for the rest of the year, not for Passover use, they're not so careful to run the machinery with that kind of speed and diligence and clean it in between the runs and et cetera, et cetera. Whereas when they make it for Passover, there's extra supervision and they're really, really careful about start to finish. The water and flour mix goes into the oven within 18 minutes. And they're less careful about that to the rest of the year. So you got to be, yeah.
So it's like the Coke with the yellow. Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola makes Passover Coca-Cola, which they put, yeah, it's, yeah. Do you know the difference you know the difference?
I do not. Isn't it? I want to say it's in the sugar, but I feel like.
Yeah, exactly right.
But I was gonna actually ask. Okay, so
Yeah.
Josh and I, we were going through the market this weekend, and we were looking for the we were looking for the root beer Doc Browns. It just doesn't exist like hardly anywhere, and so we were curious if the root beer flavor is not kosher for Pesach.
No.
But the
You went to Shalom's?
we were just like, what?
Oh.
No, this was in New Jersey.
Oh.
But they didn't have it. And so the only places I found the root beer one is literally at the Giant across the street. and even Shalom's didn't have it.
100%.
And so we were curious if like, oh, maybe that's part of it.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it could be a
Oh.
random supply chain, blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Sorry.
it's fine.
Yeah.
The root beer's my favorite.
Okay, that's fine. So here's the issue. So
Diet.
in addition to chametz, I guess we should add there's a in the Talmud discusses and the medieval codes discuss groups of foods called kitniot, which are, let's say, legumes, beans, rice, which are not chametz. They're not this grain species that the Talmud Mishnah defines as chametz, but they do. They might be grains could be mixed with them.
Is that what like rice would be?
Exactly. Like if you open a bag of rice, if you ever take a bag of rice and you spill it out on your table and you look at every single grain, you'll see very often wheat grains mixed in
Mhm.
because of the way they're processed and how they're, or often like certain beans and flour are often grown in the same crop rotation. You grow your legumes legumes do nitrogen fixing, right? And you use your crop rotation. You want to replenish your soil, you plant legumes, and they do nitrogen fixing, and the soil gets more healthy. And then they do wheat the next year. So you might have, as you're harvesting your beans, you might have stray wheat stalks. Okay, if you look some years ago when Cheerios became certified gluten-free, they had a whole video they produced about what the mechanism they had to develop to ensure not a single grain of wheat would be mixed into their oats. Because wheat and oats are often grown in the same field, they're next to each other, and okay, so and it's not so simple, right? If you have a right, so okay, so the Ashkenazi, for whatever reason, is the Ashkenazi practice is not to eat these kitniot. These are non-grain, but like similar to grain. Okay, so that would be beans and rice and corn are not eaten by Ashkenazi Jews ever on Pesach. So far, the Sephardic tradition is to be lenient about all these things and to have corn and etc. And beans and soy and okay. So year-round Coca-Cola in the United States, Coca-Cola is made with corn syrup. And Passover they make it with sugar. So that's the difference. Okay, corn syrup is a corn derivative, and so that's the issue. Why do they make Coca-Cola with corn syrup in the United States and nowhere else? Because of the sugar lobby. Okay, sugar. There are high tariffs on sugar. We're subsidizing corn to make it really cheap. We are subsidizing sugar and making it really expensive. And so all the rest of the world, people use sugar to sweeten things. In the United States, we use corn syrup to sweeten things, and that's why Passover Coke is made with sugar. And there are people who will stock up on it. They say non-Jews per se,
Yeah.
who just feel it's the best Coca-Cola because it's the more more authentic variety because it's made with like the original sugar sweetener and not corn syrup.
Sell the Mexican Coca-Cola.
Oh yeah,
and that's made with real cane sugar.
yeah.
So I would think hypothetically that would also
The
be
Mexican Coke is probably kosher for Passover, yes. Yeah.
Like, I mean, Coke, which is like Coke Zero and whatnot, does it mean it's also kosher because it doesn't have corn syrup?
It doesn't have corn syrup, so that wouldn't be the issue. But if you could look for a Passover certification. Just check.
Yeah.
What?
So,
You never saw what?
so, never.
Yeah, they have yellow bottles. You can't. There should be. They're pretty. I mean,
So, yeah, no, I will.
I feel like that stuff goes very quickly.
it goes. You can buy it in regular supermarkets too, but like they does sell it pretty quickly because people like it. But it's not. Yeah, it's a regular. Yeah, and check the Diet Coke. I'm sure there's Diet Coke. I don't know. I don't drink Diet soda. I don't buy soda, but I'm sure it exists. And you just look.
Just buying with this diet and zero sugar, so I was thinking of the like it's aspartame.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how you make aspartame. I don't know what the other things, the ingredients are. I have no idea, but it should be. And you can also the Coca-Cola I happen to know is under the supervision of the OU. The OU, I'm telling you, yeah. So the OU is actually an interesting story because the OU knows the secret ingredient.
Oh, that's not.
They wouldn't give it like the first rabbi to supervise Coca-Cola was given access to their secret ingredient. I think currently they don't necessarily know the secret ingredient. They know they're shown, I think, like 7 different possibilities, and they say one of these is the secret ingredient, and they say, okay, all of these are kosher, so it's fine. They don't necessarily know which one it is. But in any event, Coca-Cola is under the OU's supervision. The OU has That's neither here nor there. Every major here's what I say. Every major kashrut organization has a Passover magazine. So the OU has a Passover magazine, which you can find on their website, and they will tell you products that are kosher for Passover even without a special kosher for Passover certification, products that are kosher for Passover only with a kosher for Passover certification, and products that are kosher for Passover with no certification at all. And those are, they have a, it's a magazine. You can download it, you look it on your phone, whatever, on your computer, and you can find out about the problem is that it's only the OU produces this only for
Like a short period of time, or
that's not the problem because you're only shopping for Passover a short period of time. It's long before I promise you, long before you're shopping for Passover, the OU magazine is completed. The problem is that they're only telling you about their products. So they're the largest kosher agency in the world, which is fine, but there are many products that are like there are, let's say, five large like international kosher agencies. The OU is the biggest, but they're only one of them. So you have to check the magazines of all the other. You got to go to the online, right? So okay, so. Domino Sugar is kosher for Passover certified by the Circle K. Okay, that's another. So a number of mainstream brands have special Passover certification. There are also special brands that are like Jewish brands that only produce kosher Passover products, like Lieber's potato chips. No one buys Lieber's. I assume no one buys Lieber's potato chips the rest of the year, but in Passover, it's like a brand of yeah. Okay. Okay.
I did try them.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
It'll suffice.
Okay, that was a lot. Any other questions? Oh, do we have a list of kosher certifications somewhere that we hold by at Ohev? We do. Yes, it is. It is on the Ohev website. It is a strange,
Sorry.
no, but it's a strange place on the Ohev website. So I'm going to share it with you now. It's you go, it's under community life cycle communal guidelines. I have to move it. It's a weird place, but anyway, I'll share the link is. I'll put the link in the chat. And
Awesome. Thank you so much.
and there it is. Yeah. So those are the, yeah. We're pretty lenient about kosher agencies. Basically, if it's like a local Orthodox rabbinic organization supervising, restaurants or factories in their community, we trust them. And the ones we don't are ones which are, we'll talk about it. We'll get there. We'll talk about what a bad hechsher is. But yeah. And generally, again, the big ones all have Passover magazines. Okay. We'll do one last. Get to number 10 today, and then we'll finish it. Number 10 is the Omer and Lag BaOmer. So the Torah says there's sort of a grain sacrifice brought the day after Passover, and that was like a biblical temple time mitzvah, and that links. And then the Torah also says that you count the days from Passover to Shavuot. Torah actually says Macharat HaShabbat, from the day after Shabbat, count 50 days, and that's Shavuot. We understand that the day of Shabbat in this verse refers to Passover, like a day without work, like Shabbat. And so from Passover, we count 50 days, and that's Shavuot. So the period of counting these 50 days is called the period of the Omer, because the Omer was the unit of measurement of grain that was offered as the sacrifice on the day after Passover. So the entire period is known as the Omer, the time of counting the Omer. And there's a mitzvah that we do as well today as well. We count the Omer. So every night you say a bracha, a mitzvah bracha for performing the mitzvah. You say today is the first day of the Omer. And you say today is the second, today is the third day. Then you say today is the seventh day of the Omer, which is 1 week. And say today is the eighth day of the Omer, which is 1 week, 1 day. Okay, and you go because the Torah one place says count weeks, and some place it says count 7 weeks, and it says count 50 days. So we do both. Okay, and we count all the way from Passover to Shavuot. And that again is called the Omer. In the Middle Ages, this became a period of mourning because during the First Crusade, the Jewish communities in the Rhineland were massacred during this period of time. And so this period of time had a negative, mournful association in commemoration of these like massive massacres of Jewish communities in Speyer, Magenza, and Vermeiza in the Rhineland. Uh, to this day, we have mourning practices during the Omer. We don't have weddings. We don't go to concerts. We don't cut our hair. Um,
Better get that done quick.
Exactly. Many people don't shave either from Passover to Shavuot, except later on, maybe several centuries later, the practice developed to and then there's also these morning practices also being associated with a reference in the Talmud that Rabbi Akiva's students died between Passover and Shavuot. Thousands of students who all died between Passover and Shavuot. So maybe it's more mourning for the Crusades. Maybe that's more historically accurate, but also it's associated with the mourning for Rabbi Akiva's students. So no haircuts, no shaving, no weddings, except on the 33rd day of the Omer, which is mostly the end, but not the end. These mourning practices are lifted, and we have weddings and concerts and parties and all those things, get our haircut and all those things. That's a much more recent practice, the Lag BaOmer traditions, and it maybe is because the students of Rabbi Kiva stopped dying on Lag BaOmer, and so there are mystical reasons. It's an odd, it's a very odd day, like in terms of like where does it come from? Like doesn't have it's not mentioned in the Talmud. It's a late practice, but it's a very kind of exciting time because you have all these weeks with no concerts or haircuts or weddings. And then Lag BaOmer wedding season begins again, right? And that's the spring wedding season begins on Lag BaOmer, and there are concerts and and bonfires and fun celebrations. Um, okay, let's pause here. We don't have a next class on our schedule, do we? Because next Monday, what am I doing next Monday? No, next Monday,
I thought you said it was your son's volleyball.
did I say it's not? It's no. I thought I was going to be busy, but I'm not going to be busy. I thought I'd be busy, but I'm not going to be busy. So we can meet next Monday, day 15.
Cool.
Yeah, it's my birthday, but my wife is out of town, so we can, okay? I will, I will
Your
add
favorite dessert?
uh chocolate. And then
The correct answer.
and the 23rd we can also meet, right? 23rd of March. There's no volleyball game. So the 23rd we can meet as well. Okay. It's on my schedule. I have it on the shul schedule. Then we're put the 30th. We're definitely not meeting. That's leading up to Passover and there's a volleyball game maybe I'll go to. The 6th is on Passover of April. The 13th of April, 13th of April, we could probably meet as well. So let's do 8:15 to 9 on 13th of April. And then the
Yes, okay, so we will,
Monday, 25th. I got it in the next.
so we'll do the 16th, the 23rd, and then April 13th.
yeah. And then we'll pause a little bit, okay? Because the 20th there's a thing. Okay. Let's do these. I'll share them and okay. Great. Okay. Alicia, thanks for coming.
Thank
Thanks
you so much.
everyone.
This is really fun.
I thank you. I thank you so much. I had fun too. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Have a great night. All right.